Grodno is a unique and exclusive city of Belarus. There are preserved monuments of almost all artistic styles, from Gothic to constructivism. There are witnesses of different eras in life of the city. In 1988, the government of the BSSR declared Old Grodno a monument of urban planning and architecture. This is the most European city in Belarus, the only one in which there are so many religious monuments preserved untouched by the destructive wave of atheism. Jesuit to Bernardine, the Church of the Virgin Mary as well as the Church of the Holy Spirit and Trinity Church formed the main ring of defense of the late medieval city. On the main directions of departure from the city stood the mighty walls of Brigid Franciscan monasteries.
The Franciscan monastery in Grodno was founded in 1635 with help of Eustathian and Susan Koch. This monastery is situated on the left bank of the river Niemen. In 1650 it was built as a stone church and a monastery in barrack style. There was a first step to realize a full project. After the fire in 1753, the Franciscan monks made their temple even more beautiful. A complex landscape shows the symmetrical composition of the church, including the belfry and the monastic complex. After rebuilding, we can see elements of the Rococo style in the architecture of the church and the bell tower, the upper tiers and the roof of the tower of the church. There are 3 bells and a clock on the tower hung. Since 1750, the organ has operated in the church. I wonder that today it is one of the oldest buildings in Belarus. The whole temple, including the main altar, are dedicated to the angel God's Mother. The temple is famous for the miraculous icon of angel God's Mother of the 17th century. After the uprising of Kalinovsky in 1864, a monastery was created as a jail for priests and monks who were dissent with Russian government. It was used till 1919. Then, in 1919, monastery started to work again thanks for Joseph Fordon.
From 1922 for 1927, the Saint Maximilian Kolb, who founded the order in the monastery of Chase-Tvrdy near Warsaw, worked there.
During the Second World War, he saved thousands of lives from the fascists. He himself died in the concentration camp of Oswiecim. During the war, Grodno monks were able to hide a valuable library. It was found in 2010 by the priest Joseph Makachik. Today the library is located in the Grodno Museum.
Women's Brigid Monastery still take a whole block in Grodno, the first and at the same time the last temple in Belarus of the Order of Saint Brigid of Sweden. It was built because of the donations by Magnat Vasilkovsky in 1636-1646. This monastery was built in the barrack style in memory of the early died Doce Griselda. The facades of the church are decorated with elegant portals made from the Dutch sandstone. On the perimeter of the Annunciation Church there is a decorated Renaissance graffiti frieze. The rich interior of the church consists of numerous sculptural compositions and more than 14 icons.
In 1964, Sarmatian portraits of the founder's family, a large number of icons written in the middle of the 17th century by Grodno monks in the style of Dutch painting were found in the cellars of the church.
This unique modern construction has been built in the St. Bridget nunnery yard in 18th century without a single nail, on constructional components tied together with wooden wedges. The Lamb second floor with balustrade was used as a dormitory for nuns, and the first floor served as a storehouse.
Xavier and Cornelia Rukevich served their sentence punished for helping their brother, Michael Rukevich, a famous Decembrist in 19th century after their revolt. In 15th years of 20th century, monastery was closed and converted into a mental hospital.
Today the complex is being restored and will eventually become one of the most important tourist sites. At the end of the 15th century, Great Duke Alexander Yagelonchik has bestowed land plots upon St. Bernard's order, but the church itself has been actually built much later, at the beginning of the 18th century. This is one of the first Catholic orders that appeared in Grodno. Legend says that the soldiers who returned with the victory after the campaign to Moscow sacrificed the most for the building of the church. And in memory of the successful event, each knight gave a horse-hoof salary to the church. And Lev Sapieha, the great chancellor of Lithuania, gave 1,000 with a handful.
The architecture of the temple combined several styles: Gothic, Renaissance and Baroque. Wars and fires, after which it was necessary to restore the church, made a change in the architecture and interiors of the church. In the interiors of the temple there are unique compositions and the organ of the 17th century. In the 18th century, frescoes by Grushevsky appeared in the church.
In 1677 the monastery was expanded because of joining of the philosophy school from Nesish.
In 1863, monastery was abolished and the church turned into the Polish one. Famous Belarusian writer Eliza Orzeszka got married here in 1855. Since 1990, the building hosts Supreme Roman Gothic Seminary.
In 2010, at the attic of the church settled 2 falcons, very rare birds in Belarus. Ornithologists, to track their movement, set up a camera and watched them.
At the east edge of the Soviet Square, towers and a dome of a church with a rich history are raised in the sky. The initiative of the foundation of Jesuit College in Grodno belonged to King Stephen Bathory, but Jesuit mission appeared in Grodno only in 1623. In 1637 they gained a bell for St. Peter's and St. Paul's Church.
Complex has been transformed into a prison in 1820. There were such famous fighters for national independence as Napoleon Oda, a famous artist, and Sigismund Wróblewski, a physicist. Also, there was Wolf Messing, a famous Polish and Soviet clairvoyant. The building was constructed in 18th century by Jesuits purposefully for pharmaceutical researchers. It functioned in that capacity until 1950. In 1996, pharmacy has opened its doors for visitors again as the only Belarusian charitable museum of pharmaceutics.
The carved bust was established before the main altar. On the 6th of December in 1795, the church was consecrated at the name of Francis Xavier in the presence of the King of Rech Pospolita, August II, and the Tsar Petr I. In 1725, a clock from the disassembled tower of the college was transferred to the front tower of the church. It is the oldest clock in Europe. The middle pylon of another nave has a monument of Anthony Tizinghaus. On the same pylon, there a memorable table in honor of Wróblewskis.
The temple is one of the biggest churches of a Baroque epoch in Rzecz Pospolita of two peoples. The top stairs of the towers, which were being built on in 1752. The interior of the church impresses with ensemble of carved altars and mullers following a certain iconographical program. Near the east wall, the main altar, the biggest Baroque altar on the lands of former Rzeczpospolita, towers up to the vault. Schmidt was to work with an altar with 6 comrades and led, from September in 1736 till July 1737. The altar is situated where it was put by Schmidt, and it in full corresponds to that described in the contact except the form of ciborium. The altar stands as a semicircle in the depths of an apse. From afar really it seems a forest of sculptures and columns, as the Prussian traveler Schlemmüller wrote about it in 1752. Well illuminated from a dome and windows of the presbytery, it irresistibly draws attention to itself from any point of presence in the temple.
The old Grodno seriously claims to be a museum city, and it will become one.